Hello everyone, my name is Sylvia and I love to crochet. Towards the end of the years, I tend to see creators showing off what they did that year. I honestly haven't crocheted that much in 2025, but I wanted to show you what I've crocheted since my early beginnings in crochet. So I started to crochet in January, maybe February 2023, so basically almost 3 years. And I'm gonna show you everything I made, starting from the first ever thing that I did with a crochet hook, which were just practice squares for every stitch. I have single crochets, double crochets, an attempt at treble crochet maybe. It's supposed to be a square. Very obviously didn't come out a square. All the basic stitches, I learned to make them, and I learned to make squares. I made 6 squares with maybe 3-4 stitches. And then when I decided that I had learned to make the basic stitches, I made a star. It's the first interesting thing that I did with crochet. The hole in the middle is not supposed to be there, but it was my first ever attempt. And it felt great because I was able to use all the stitches that I had just learned and to do a magic circle. My first ever project were mittens. I followed a tutorial by Mahun Crochet, I believe it's pronounced. I had seen many of her videos before starting to make crochet, and she was one of the main reasons why I started to crochet, because I saw her tutorials and I thought, I want to give this a try. I think it is doable. Like, she explains everything really well and the things she makes are beautiful. If I'm being honest, I've never really worn them because the color choice is a bit weird. They kind of look like I am wearing bandages. But I was super proud that I was able to make even something wearable, and they're also really warm. There is photo evidence that by February the 11th I had already finished these. For my next project, which is also a project by Mahun Crochet, I don't really have photo evidence of when I finished it, so maybe it's not the second project, maybe it was the third or even the fourth, I have no idea. But it is a pencil case that I made specifically for my modeling clay tools, and it has a little strawberry button. It is completely functional. It was made right to the size of my tools. That was my first experience with tapestry crochet. Yeah, it's technically tapestry crochet, where you use 2 colors and you crochet over the other yarn. By February the 22nd, I had already finished another project, which is another project by Mahun Crochet, and it is a book sleeve that I made for my Kindle. It is basically a giant granny square, so that was my first granny square, with a heart button, and it also has a snap button to close it and open it. I've used it a lot. I mean, my Kindle has been living here since I made it, so pretty functional. By February 28th, I have finished another project, and this was my first ever amigurumi, and it is a strawberry amigurumi that, as you can see, is still attached to my bag because I sewed it to the bag, and it's been there since I made it, and I've gotten many compliments on it. That's this, when I tell people that I crochet and they ask me what do I do, I'm always wearing this bag, so I just show them, and it is quite a funny experience. It came out really well for my first amigurumi. I did make a tiny mistake here at the beginning where I somehow missed a stitch, which pisses me off a little bit, but I am used to it. I would like to try to make strawberries again. To fill it, I used the yarn ends that I had been collecting since I started to crochet. Another interesting fact, I have never thrown away any yarn ends. I always keep them because they're great for filling. By March 6th, I had finished my next project, 2 pink coasters. I really like the look of old crochet, like the doilies that we typically associate with grandmas, and I really wanted to make one myself, so I made a mini version of it as a coaster. By the way, all the tutorials that I followed will be linked in the description down below if you want to check them out. This one was not by Mahun Crochet. This was the first one where I diverged a little bit from what I had been doing to that point. Now for my first failure. By March 22nd, I had finished a sweater, my first ever wearable, although I ended up never wearing it. So the story is that I saw a tutorial for a shrug, bolero, just the sleeves that end right here. and I followed it using this yarn. This is not the end result, but I used this yarn and I was liking it, and I decided to make it longer, like a full sweater. But I didn't follow the tutorial to the T, so I kind of messed up. I remember the sleeves would start really, really low, so whenever I raised my arms, the sleeve would start under my ribs. So I ended up never wearing it, and I frogged the entire thing and I saved the yarn. Here it is, but let's not skip to that part yet. March the 23rd, so the day after I took the picture of that sweater, I started my next project, which was a granny square bag. I started again in March 23rd and I finished in April the 12th. I used 2 tutorials, one for the hard granny squares, another for the regular granny squares, and then I just made a simple strap. Even though I finished this one in April 2023, I didn't wear it until 2024 because I was too lazy to make an actual lining for the bag. And now for another fail. I wanted to make this cassette pouch. There was a free tutorial, written tutorial, which until then I had only followed video tutorials, and it didn't come out well. I ended up giving up, and yes, I got a pouch out of it, a very simple black and white pouch that I now use to store my hair clips. That failure hit hard. Until then I had been able to finish all the projects that I started, and this one I simply gave up. I don't remember what was the problem, but it was very frustrating, so ditched it. After that one, another failure followed. This time I wanted to make a coin purse in the shape of a seashell. I was really into mermaids and mermaid core. I had trouble joining the pieces together. I had trouble trying to put a zipper to this. I ended up giving up. But the seashells on itself are really beautiful. And I didn't frog it because they are so pretty that I think I could repurpose them in some other project. So we're now around spring 2023. After that failure, again, I stopped crocheting for a few months. But in July, I made an amigurumi. This is my first big real amigurumi, not just the strawberry. And I love it. I'm really happy with how it came out. I got many compliments on it. It is true that I use a very big hook and you can kind of see the stuffing in between the holes, but I love the end result. She is super cute. I also made a beanie for her following this tutorial, but I didn't like how it looked on her, so I ended up frogging it. I already mentioned that I frogged the first sweater that I made. That took me a few months to make that decision. But with the yarn that I collected, I made another project, my second ever wearable, which, spoiler, I never wore. This time the garment came out perfectly. The only problem is that I don't like the colors. I didn't like them in the first sweater, and I did not like them in here. But the garment is beautiful. I really recommend following that tutorial. I bought this yarn because I really like the purples, the reds, the greens, the yellows. But when I actually crocheted with it, it turned out that most of it was just beige. I didn't like the placements of the color changes. I didn't like most of the colors. So I never wore it. I didn't even know how to style it, and I've decided that I'm going to frog it. Again, I love the cardigan. I want to make it again, but this time in a color that I will actually wear. But yeah, say goodbye to this one. Now we have one of my favorites, this ammonite bag. The strap is detachable. I tried to make this one before using t-shirt yarn because at the time my store didn't sell rope yarn. They only sold t-shirt yarn and it did not work out. So I was left with an entire skein of t-shirt yarn that I didn't know what to do with. And this one was a bit frustrating because, again, my first try failed. Then I got the rope yarn that I needed, but I ran out of both colors and my store only had one skein of each color, so I had to order more of it online. I believe I didn't order enough, and then I have to order again just to get one skein, and I only had 2 or 3 rows left. It was frustrating, and again I was left with almost an entire skein of white yarn because I only had to do the last couple of rows with this yarn. I honestly have never worn it as a bag. I have it hanging in my living room and I store the strap inside, but it is perfectly wearable. Again, following the mermaid core aesthetic because I really love it, and I want to wear it out sometime. maybe this summer. This one I finished in September 2023. In October 2024, also following an ocean-inspired theme, I made a set of blanket and 2 pillows. Well, I started a set of 1 blanket and 2 pillows. So I was inspired by a post on Pinterest, and I just followed 2 different tutorials for the 2 different types of granny squares. But the problem is that I had to make more than 150 granny squares, and that burned me out very fast. So I put the project on pause many times and then picked it back up and then paused and then pick it back up. And yeah, I didn't finish this until January 2025. So more than a year that I was with this project. And I am a person that only has a project at a time. So I basically didn't crochet that year. I mean, at some point I had already memorized how to make a star granny square. But the problem with pausing the project so many times is that I sometimes forgot a very crucial step, which was crocheting over the ends in the star. So when everything was finished in one of the pillows, the stars, all of them, started to unravel from the center, and I had to go back and mend that pillow multiple times. But I think at this point in time, it is completely fixed. But yeah, if you are pausing a project, go back and watch a tutorial again before you pick it up again. This took me more than a year, and in that year, I didn't crochet anything except for 2 things. I made 2 exceptions. One of them was this super cute Hello Kitty amigurumi. I think I made this in the Christmas break of 2023 to 2024, but I don't know the exact date. I am more proud of this one than the cow because this time the stitches are much smaller. You cannot see the filling through the holes. And she even has tiny clothes in a little bow. And the other exception is this top. That would have been my 3rd ever wearable. And again, I've never worn this one because I made it too small. I am proud of this one even though I'm not even able to put it on. I didn't finish this one. I wanted to make a strap that started at the center, went all around the neck, and also ended at the center. But when I realized that I was not gonna be able to wear it, I'd ditch the entire project. I also don't really like the lacing here on top. I love the way it looks, and I want to give it another try. I want to frog it and do it again, but this time figure out a way that I can put it on and close it off. Maybe with some lacing in the back, maybe buttons, or maybe make a fabric that is a bit more stretchy. I have no idea. So yeah, these 2 things are the only things that I finished in 2024, although this one I might have finished in December 2023. I don't really remember. And this one I technically didn't finish. All the projects that I did in 2025 have been documented on this channel, which is awesome. So I will not really go into detail with every single one of them. In February, I started a tapestry. I finished it in a few weeks, I believe. And then in the summer, I started another one, this time an even bigger one. And there's an entire video dedicated to my crochet tapestries, if you want to watch it. I enjoyed it so much that I wanted to make even another one, but I stopped myself because I didn't want to buy any more yarn. I decided to put myself on a yarn buying ban. And on the topic of not buying any more yarn and crocheting with what I have, I made an entire video in which I tried to get rid of 25% of my stash, and I made like 15, maybe 18 projects. I will again not go into detail, but I will show you every single one of them, although most of them I gifted away. So I'm going to show you what I have, and the rest I will show you a picture or a video. In no particular order, we have this basket. I made it with the leftover yarn from the Ammonite bag, and I use it to store my smaller skeins of yarn. Then we have this plant pot cover. I used t-shirt yarn for this one. The t-shirt yarn that I had bought for the Ammonite bag but ended up not working, that one. I usually keep a plant inside, but I have watered the plant and it's now sitting in my shower, so yeah. Then I crocheted 3 bags. I love crochet bags. First we have this one. It is a bottle holder. It is super practical for when you are on the airport and you want to have quick access to your water bottle without having to take off your backpack and leaving your suitcase around. So I haven't used it that much, but the times that I have used it, it has saved my life. Then we have Wally the Whale bag. I love it. The creator has a YouTube channel, which I forgot to mention in my original video, and she is super nice. I will link her in the description box. I use it a lot. The only problem that I have is that the strap stretched out a lot, and I should go back and undo some rows and crochet the ends again. And the last bag is this fish tapestry bag. I basically copied a pin on Pinterest. This one I'd say is the one that I use the most. Even though it's very summery, I use it in the fall, and now I will use it in the winter. The bag is spilling a little bit, but bleh, I don't care. We have a headband. Honestly, I have only worn it once. I should give it another try. And then I made a bunch of amigurumis. This one I think is my favorite. I made 4 of these. I only kept the goofiest looking one, and I have it in my bag next to the strawberry back charm. I made this opossum that is supposed to hang. I made it with the intentions of hanging it in my car, but the window in my car is like really low, so this takes up a lot of space. And I have hung it in my home, and it looks extremely cute. This one was my least favorite one of the bunch that I made in that video, but I love him. He's super cute. I made another raccoon, Tippy the raccoon. Here's some footage. I also made a seal. I think that one didn't have a name, and I remember it was the first one that I made in that bunch. I made Cora the little penguin, and she had a bonnet and a bag, a fish bag, super adorable. And if I'm correct, those are all the things that I made in that video, and all the things that I made in 2025. Yes, I haven't picked up a crochet hook since September, and that's fine. For me, crochet is an occasional hobby. I have multiple hobbies, and sometimes I get really obsessed for a couple of months, and then I don't do anything in the next couple of months. And that means that I will never get exceptionally good at any of my hobbies. But that is not my intention. I do them because I enjoy them. For me, it's more enjoyable hobby hopping, trying new hobbies, the ones that I like, returning to them every now and then. And that's why I made this channel. If you like different hobbies, like, I don't know, sewing, crocheting, putting up a gallery wall, which is what I made in my last video, I suggest you go to my channel and see if there are any other videos that catch your attention. I hope you like this video, and if you want to know what I'll be making next, I suggest you subscribe to this channel. That's it for now. Goodbye!